Edward Miskey was a 20-something with a lot going for him. He was a working actor in New York City. He had a significant other. He had amazing friends. Then he had a cancer diagnosis. Now, on the other side of things, Edward Miskey's written about it. Some of it heartbreaking, some of it hilarious. Miskey, originally from Lebanon, joins us from New York with his book, Cancer, Musical Theater, and Other Chronic Illnesses. Already, it's a funny title. And I know, Edward, you infuse a lot of humor in your story. First, though, tell us the serious part. You were 25, living a fun life. You were diagnosed with a rare cancer.
Yeah, I was in the middle of doing a production of Hairspray, and I had this lump under my arm that just kept growing and growing and growing. And so when I came back from that contract back to New York, I ended up seeing my doctor, having a biopsy, and within like I think a week and a half, I was in the hospital for my first round of chemo.
And that treatment, of course, pretty brutal. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was a lot of inpatient because it was a rare kind of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma that there wasn't a whole lot of documentation on. I was inpatient doing days and days and days of sequential chemos that were back to back that would sometimes be 9 and 10 hour drips. I lived at the hospital basically. It was kind of my new home away from home.
We talked about this being so rare. Is this right that surviving this was almost as rare as the diagnosis itself?
Yeah, as of now, I'm the only person who has ever had this particular type of cancer who has lived as long as I have without a second reoccurrence.
My goodness. Let's talk about
Yeah.
after treatment. Life, then, still kind of brutal. What happened during and after cancer, in your personal life?
Sure. I mean, personal life kind of started to fall apart in the middle of it, actually. I mean, I was with someone and they, made the decision, I guess, that I was not the person that they wanted to be with during this period of time. And so, right as I was about to go into a stem cell transplant, which is very dangerous and a very serious procedure, it came to light that they were seeing someone else the whole time, and it just became this big point of contention, of course. And in hindsight, it's difficult to be in that situation, and I personally don't know what I would do in that situation. Being faced with someone that you care about in a kind of deadly diagnosis where you don't know what the future holds. If you're not equipped to kind of stick around and be that person for them, then it's honestly best for the both of you that it discontinue. And I certainly didn't feel that way at the time, but 10 years in hindsight, I'm able to look at that with a little bit more discerningness and just kind of say, it wouldn't have worked out anyway if you weren't the kind of person that was able to stick around.
You say you felt very different after surviving cancer. You truly changed. That led to this book. Talk about the book, talk about the humor involved and the messages in there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, after treatment, I mean, like the Live Strong program, there wasn't something like that I was aware of. And so all of that kind of repair physically and mentally was basically up to you. Um, and what preferences you had to seek a course of action to heal. Mine weren't always the healthiest. I did go back to a gym and I was trying to physically condition myself back to a place where I felt somewhat normal, I guess, again, but I also took on to more serious habits like bourbon was the answer to everything, right? So you just feel like a different person. The person I was coming out of that was not the person going into it, and trying to refigure out who you are and what you like and who you want to hang out with and what you want to do with your life is kind of a really strange um thing to navigate after you face your mortality like that. No, the humor in it is, of course, looking back at it's funny, but when it was happening, not all of it was funny. But certainly being able to bring light to serious situations to kind of give someone else reading this the idea that maybe it isn't so bad and everything will turn out okay. I definitely had my own self-identity crises along the way, and panic spirals about it coming back, and this dread of hypochondria that like every little thing was going to bring it back, and you just kind of have to forge forward. And I didn't have a whole lot of resources or um, personalized support in the sense that someone who had gone through the same thing that I had, I was able to talk to about it in a way that was comforting. Certainly, I had family and friends and a support group around me, but someone who really, really knew what I was talking about, I didn't have that. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote the book.
That could be so helpful to so many people. Of course, we can go to your website for much more information and how to find that book. Edward, it was really great talking with you. Thanks so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
You're very welcome. We will be right back with APA.